This is an exclusive excerpt from the Stuph File Program with Peter Anthony Holder.
Have you ever had a desire to just completely disappear, leave everything behind without a trace? Well, on the line with us right now is Frank M. Ahearn, who is the co-author of How to Disappear. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
First of all, where are you?
At the moment, I'm in New York. I spend my living between New York and both Venice Beach, California, the best of both worlds.
Now, what would be a reason, and by that I mean a legitimate reason, because we can think of many criminal reasons to want to disappear, but what would be a legitimate reason for someone to disappear?
There's two factors. It either comes down to a money issue or a violence issue. The violence is typically a victim of a stalker, victim of an abusive ex, individuals who've been in really bad business situations or that have gone sour. That's typically the violence aspect of things, and most of these people never anticipated that they'd be needing my services. And the other part is money. Those who've come into money and they're looking to leave their world behind, family, friends, looking for handouts. Those who've lost everything, have a little seed money, want to just, leave the world behind as well. And also, people who are, what we consider international people who want to create some strong privacy and kind of a insulation around their world. So to avoid possible abductions as well. So it ranges, but money and violence are always the two issues.
Somebody coming to get your services, how does one get into the business you're in, first of all?
Well, it's kind of odd. I spent most of my life as a skip tracer who located people all over the world for, my clients were investigators, insurance companies, paparazzis, tabloids. If you were looking for someone, you'd go to a private investigator, and if they couldn't find them, they'd come to a skip tracer like me, and we typically found them. But about 8-9 years ago, something like that, I was in a bookstore and I saw a guy buying books about offshore banking, and he also bought books about Costa Rica and privacy books. But what happened was he paid by his credit card, and it kind of just struck me weird. You're doing all this discretionary thing in your life, but you're using a credit card which leaves a digital trail or footprint. And I struck up conversation with them. Turns out he was a corporate whistleblower. Calls me a few days later and says, "Hey, listen, can you help me disappear?" And next thing you know, the business is born. It's been kind of booming since. It's an odd business, and I meet very strange people, but it's pretty unique.
Well, in this modern age that we live in the 21st century, with everyone being so connected, is it more difficult to simply disappear, to go off the grid?
It's kind of like a double-edged sword, because technology affords us where we can be virtual, just like, where you're at, where I'm at in life. We don't have to be in one physical place. We can use cell phones or prepaid cell phones. We have faxes that go to email addresses. So to a degree, the technology has afforded us this ability to become virtual individuals. The downside is the information that's available online, like public records, social media, people who put up your information, like friends and family. So it's really a question of who is looking for you and who's trying to disappear. So whoever's better at it, I guess, kind of wins the duel.
Now, you talk about this guy wanting to go off to Costa Rica. Does someone have to leave to hide, or can you literally hide in plain sight?
Most people don't go offshore that I deal with because they just don't have the funds and it's not realistic. I mean, you could move a half hour away from where you live. It's just a question of, who your predator is. That's one thing. But hiding in plain sight is what I always suggest. I mean, you live your life normally. You don't change your identity. You be who you are, but you maybe have all your services under a corporation, and you're just learning how to communicate properly, so there's never any trace of you communicating with family or friends. But you can move anywhere from 100 to 25 miles away. It's the best way of hiding in plain sight.
I'm going back to that Costa Rica example once again. The guy was at the store paying with his credit card. Obviously, that was a big mistake and a blunder. What are some of the bigger mistakes or other mistakes that people make when hoping to disappear and they do something wrong?
The most important thing they do is they don't think about the information they leave behind. Very basic examples on your home phone, you have calls to wherever. You might have made a mistake and called the realtor in, like, say, BC somewhere. On your cell phone, there may be a contact number or an in case of emergency number, and that could be your mother. Okay, and a skip tracer, and I assume people who are looking for you will break the law, so they may pull your old phone records or check your contact numbers at, hydro, cable, phone, and get your mother's number, and a skip tracer could pretext your mother and be like, "Hi, this is, Joe Blow. I'm calling from such and such. I went to school with Peter, and I'm doing the show. I want to see if you could possibly host it." And your mother would be really excited for you because life is bad because you have that stalker, and she may just give me your information. So it's the information you leave behind. That's the tools or the treasures of locating someone.
Does it draw any attention to someone if I walk into a bookstore and I go to the shelf and I buy a book called How to Disappear?
I would pay in cash. I wouldn't use my credit card personally, because if somebody was looking for you and they pulled your credit card transaction and they saw How to Disappear. But on the same token, there's other books, How to Disappear, and one's like a famous play. So it's just a question if somebody locates that transaction, but it wouldn't create anything too deep. But if you bought a book about, France with it, that could be a problem, because the person looking for you may say, maybe he's moving to France because he's disappearing there.
Have you met with any people who are concerned about the book that you have now written, either law enforcement agents or whatnot? Because, as you say, you've given examples of reasons why people would want to disappear legitimately, but I'm sure there are those who have seen your book and are thinking, hey, maybe other people are using it.
Yeah, but, that's like with everything. I mean, do you not, like, make baseball bats because somebody might hit somebody in the head with a baseball bat? And, it's also free speech, which people have a right. So, you can't control who your buyer is. And, if we worried about that every day, we'd stop making cars because of drunk drivers. To me, I find the discretion in my clients. I basically make sure I deal with the right people, the people who have legitimate reasons, and non-criminals.
I think what's actually kind of sad in this day and age is the fact that there are some people out there who need to disappear because they are being stalked and are being followed. At least there's someone like you who can help that situation a little bit in making their life a little easier if they are being stalked by someone.
Right. I mean, the book, goes from very basic examples of privacy that the average person can deal with to the extreme. And, some people can find, I guess, tools that will make their life, safer. So, stalking is an unfortunate situation because you just never know the end result. And there's no, it's not a black and white issue. It's just this continuous shade of gray of what may take place. So, but I always suggest people, if they're being stalked, law enforcement is your first key. You got to go there. You got to deal with that and, walk that avenue first.
Frank, I thank you very, very much for taking the time to be on our program.
Peter, thanks a lot. Much appreciated. And thanks for having me.
Frank M. Ahearn, the co-author of How to Disappear. You can visit Frank's website at frankahearn.com. You can also go to my website at thestuffile.com. Go to the What's On page for this show, which is show number 0063, and you'll find links to Frank's website, plus links to either Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, where you can order his book directly.
You've just heard an exclusive excerpt from the Stuph File Program with Peter Anthony Holder. To hear any or all of the full hour-long shows, visit thestufffile.com. Stuph is spelled S-T-U-P-H. That's thestufffile.com. A presentation of Flying Fish Communications.